views the likes of Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, as a ban. And it's a change that, in fact, it is a fact the NHS that women need fewer calories than for in our part of the world. Some are definitely calling for in Australia, and the call has been met. Indeed, they've been very brutal about this, the Australians, because they have banned social media, although it is a bit whack-a-mole, to be fair, because they've named a load of sites that they are going to ban, to try and stop teenagers getting addicted to these things, to protect them from the dark, rather rancid corners of the internet. I'm now going to quote the Australian communications minister. This is Annika Wells, who labelled social media, and I'm quoting her here. She says, of social media, it is a dopamine drip. She promised to protect Generation Alpha from, and I quote her again, behavioural cocaine. That is how the Australian communications minister views the likes of Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, she's there. She doesn't like it. And it's the thing, isn't it? You go back 15 years, this was the Brave New World. We were talking, we were telling it what films we like and what our favourite meals were and what, joking around, coming up with our porn star name by mixing our mother's maiden name with, our first pet. Of course, hang on a minute. That was getting into security protocols that got into things like your banking. All we were trusting. Have we woken up to this? Have we woken up this a bit too late? 08000 855 949. Like Australia, do you want to ban social media for teenagers? Well, let's talk it through firstly with Lucy Smith, who's from Inclusive Change. It's an organisation that supports parents and young people around online safety. Lucy, good morning to you. Is a ban the answer?
Good morning. John, you've stolen everything I was going to say.
Sorry. Wasn't intentional. But I just wonder whether this is a sledgehammer to crack a nut.
Right. I have a phrase that I say regularly, which is the genie's out of the bottle. We're already there. However, can we help and protect younger generations from the experiences that maybe our Gen Alpha, so our young people now who are coming up to about 15, 16 years old, that the experiences that they've had, particularly since COVID, because we got used to being online. We got used to this stuff because actually we weren't allowed to go outside and smell the fresh air and play with our mates. So is a ban the answer? I'm not 100% sure that it is. And also, so when I knew I was coming to talk about this today, I got online to my friends in Australia and I immediately got a voicemail back from a good friend, Sarah Cordner over there, who's got a 5 and a 9-year-old. She is a massive, massive proponent of AI and tech and taking this stuff into your world. However, in Australia, like you say, it's like Marmite. There are many people saying, this is fantastic. There's more walls. We can look after our children. We can have smartphone-free childhoods. And I'm an advocate for this stuff. I don't think that young children who are 6, 7, 8 years old should have access to so many things that we can see on the internet.
The thing we got here, though, Lucy, this is the problem, and this is the counter, is that we are at the very beginnings of AI and what it is capable of doing. Social media is there. As you quite rightly said, the genie's out of the bottle, and there is this landmark trial they're beginning in the United States in January where the court is going to hear allegations that these platforms, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, have designed their apps to be addictive and have knowingly covered up the harm. Now, they are compelling Zuckerberg and Spiegel, Evan Spiegel, who's the boss of Snapchat, to turn up and give evidence. So the genie's out of the bottle, but this is their world. I mean, you get to the age of 16, ta-da, you can have it. I mean, I don't quite understand how that works.
Yeah, this is it. And so on the other side of the argument, and this comes from Australia, people are saying this is a waste of money. Where's the real danger? Actually, there's just as much danger in games like Roblox and Minecraft, which is where the young ones are going. And you think, oh, that's a lovely game, isn't it? It's not, okay? But there are so many other places that people and young people can access on the internet that purely banning social media is not going to be the answer. And like you say, a sledgehammer to crack a nut. And one of the things that has happened and is starting to happen is different apps start to bring themselves up. So there are some apps that are deemed to be or marketed as ones for tweens, let's say. So those preteens and teens. So Lemonade is one of them. It's owned by the company that owns, guess what, TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Australia will ban that as well in time, because what they'll look at is whether that platform does the thing that breaks the law, not just whether it says it's a social messaging app rather than a social media app. So, for instance, WhatsApp is not banned. Discord, those kinds of apps that are deemed as or categorized as messaging apps are in a different category to social media.
Gaming isn't banned, so things like Roblox.
Yes.
And now we know that, and that we know this from court cases in the United Kingdom, that wrong-uns can get onto Roblox and pretend to be little Timmy, who's 8 years old, playing Roblox in a bedroom. And in fact, he isn't. He's a big, burly, nasty pervert who's trying to groom children.
Yeah, my experience and my background's in law enforcement, and those things that used to happen to us in real life, IRL, let me be down with the kids.
Mm.
So in real life, we would see and we wouldn't notice these things because people used to hide in the dark shadows in real life. Now they're hiding in those in plain sight online. And it's very, very easy for children to feel exploited or to feel scared. And to have to explain, for instance, age verification and fraud to a young child because they've asked you, can you put your face on this app, Mum, so that I can say I'm 16?
Isn't that opening up a world to these children, Lucy, that you don't really want to have that conversation? I want to be... my kids, my youngest is now 15, 16 next month, so I'm past this a little bit. But certainly when I look back, I want my 8-year-old daughter to be an 8-year-old girl. I don't want to have to sit down and say, right, let me tell you about online verification and perverts that are hanging around on the internet. I don't want to have that conversation.
But it also goes down to the line of fraud, because if I, for instance, put my face on an app so that my 15-year-old could access a particular app, I'm committing a fraud by saying that this person is over 16 and they're not, and it's me. And so to have to explain that to a young person as well is just as difficult.
And that's what some parents are saying they're going to do for their children in Australia, because this is not universally supported. Last thing before I let you go, this is, we learnt about, I think the whole world learnt about VPNs, virtual protocol networks? Virtual private networks, because of the online ban that came in, the online safety ban that came in the UK back in the summer. Surely anybody with a VPN can just get round this, can't they?
You may be able to. Depends what the app is, because the app might actually, it might actually block certain locations anyway. But a VPN hides where you're connecting to from online. So lots of people will use them to get around blocks. They'll use them to get around any filters or age checks and those kind of things. For parents, for instance, it's important to know that a VPN does not make your child safer. In fact, it removes a lot of protections. And so if for instance, you know, or you spot that they're using something, use this as a chance to have a conversation with them and ask them what they're trying to access. Ask them if you can agree safer ways to be online.
Lucy, thank you very much for joining me this morning. Good to talk it through with you. Take care.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Call 08000 855 949. BBC Radio Bristol.
So is a ban the answer? Do you want a ban on social media for teenagers like they have in Australia? It's coming into force in the next 24 hours. Do you want to ban social media